I say this like if you're trying to build software for everyone, you're building software for no one. If you want it to do everything, it's not going to do anything for people because no one's going to use it. And that focus, the idea of it's not that you can't have multiple things going on, but like you got to know what you're doing, who your customer is, why you're doing it, why you're different.
Hello and welcome to Outer Spaces, a podcast dedicated to empowering designers and contractors in the outdoor living space. I am on a mission to scour the globe to find and interview the most brilliant mindset coaches, sales strategists, and business leaders alive, and present them in a way that landscapers, hardscapers, and outdoor living pros can immediately put them into use to grow and thrive. On Outer Spaces, we are passionate about breaking the chains of small mindsets and helping contractors just like you take control of their businesses and their lives. My name is Joshua Gillow, and through my 27 years of dirt under the nails experience, I look forward to sharing tips, strategies, and other contractor success stories here on the Outer Spaces podcast. Now, let's get on with the show. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Outer Spaces podcast. This is your host, Joshua Gillow, and this week on the podcast, I have Luke Hansen. He's the CEO and founder of Company Cam. It's an innovative visual-first documentation and communication app for contractors, and they're based out of Nebraska. And what they help you do is they help you keep all your pictures in order from job sites and communications and all that stuff. Because I know if you're anything like me, you take tons of pictures of projects either before or during or after, and they all get stuck on your phone somewhere, and then you can't find them. This takes care of all that for you, and it does so much more than that. It's priced very effectively, and it really solves a major problem that we found here in the any of the construction trade. So anyway, we're going to talk to Luke, see where he's taking the company. I know they have over 140,000 users now, and his team keeps growing. So we talk about what Company Cam is, and we also talk about how's he growing as a man in order to keep up with the growth of his company. So if that excites you, keep on listening. Hey, Luke, man, welcome back to the show. I can't wait to unpack what you've been up to over there at Company Cam and to discover exactly how you continue to help contractors become more profitable and to really have them running a business that's a lot more efficient and a lot more, overall easier to run. So Luke, welcome back.
I'm glad to be here, Joshua. Thank you. And yeah, we had a great time last time. I'm looking forward to do it again. I know it's bigger and better now because I think that was 2 years ago,
It was, yeah.
roughly. So yeah, I'm excited to hear where you're going too. But yeah, it's been good. There's always new things, always exciting things. I have to stop myself because I'm always so excited about the new exciting things, and then remind myself that the old tried and true things are what most people care about. That's the stuff that works for everyone. And it's kind of I don't know. There's some sort of bigger lesson there just around, gosh, don't forget the core things when you're trying to do the new thing. You want to do new stuff, but if you leave that core behind, then you end up kind of, I don't know, just a little bit lost. And I've been there.
No, absolutely, dude. Especially as entrepreneurs, right? We're always thinking like, all right, that's awesome, but what's next, right?
Mm-hmm.
Always thinking like, all right, well, that's really cool. How can we make it better? I just read each morning I read out of my John Maxwell leadership Bible, and there was one thing in there that was not from the Bible. It was actually from Confucius, and he says, "He who chases two rabbits catches neither." And I was like, man, is that the story of my life? You know what I mean? It's like sometimes you get a tail, you get a hair or a leg or something like that. But oftentimes I'm chasing like 12 rabbits. And I'm like, I wonder why I don't ever get my hands on those little rascals. Isn't it crazy?
That's such a great quote. I know I've heard that sometime in the past. I couldn't have rattled it to you there, but I immediately what came to my mind was, I say this like if you're trying to build software for everyone, you're building software for no one.
Yes.
If you want it to do everything, it's not going to do anything for people because no one's going to use it. And that focus, the idea of it's not that you can't have multiple things going on, but like you got to know what you're doing, who your customer is, why you're doing it, why you're different, and it's I don't know. Sorry, I have all these little sayings, but people don't. And this is a little bit of a software. I mean, I think it's true more broadly, but in software, it's like people don't use features; they use products. There's no, your product does this, it does that. Well, to them, it's one product. And it does some different stuff, but you have to think of it that way as one thing that's there to help this person accomplish what they're trying to do, and not just a collection of features, which you can start to like if you're selling a job like landscaping, it's like the idea that you're going to take them from where they are now to the place where they're happy sitting on their patio, with the fire going, everything in there along that path is your product.
Mhm.
It's not just the stones
Mhm.
or this piece or that piece. And it yeah, I think it applies broadly, but these are the things I have to remind myself of quite regularly.
Well, I mean, the context around that saying was about goals, right? We want to set up. It's just about the end of the year now. It's almost time to set our goals for the year, which is bullshit. You got to be doing that constantly. That doesn't just happen
Hmm.
once a year. Anyway, but the point is, it's time that we're told to do that. So now you set these goals, but like I want to race a marathon this year, and I want to grow my company by 100%, and I want to serve here, and I want to do that, and I want a new house and a new car, and all of a sudden you have all of these goals laid out and no prioritization. And the
Hmm.
next thing you know, you end up chasing them all and getting none of them. So, to your point, just like with software or even outdoor living, how do you differentiate yourself? You've got to own your crazy. You've got to own the niche. The riches are in the niches, right? Doesn't
Hmm.
Hormozy say that? The riches are in the niches. And it's
I
like, you
Yeah.
got to get in there and you got to say, look, I'm going to own this column. I'm going to own this vertical. And that's what we're going to do, be the absolute best at and not get
Let me
too shake.
let me interject one thing here because first
Please.
of all, you're right on that. When you were talking about prioritization, that you know, my former COO, who's just all around awesome guy, but he knew that I struggled with that. I get excited. I got a lot of things I want to do. We could do this. We can do that. And it's hard if you have a list of like 20 things to
Yeah.
just go through and write them in order. That's quite difficult. There was an app or like a website that he found where you would put the list in the website and then it would just put one up against the other.
Mm,
So it'd take all 20 and it's in a sense shuffle them around and it'd say, do you care more about this or this? It's only two. If you had to have one. So you pick. And it
yeah.
takes you through this exercise of just comparing one against the other. And then in the end, it spits out the list. It says, okay, based on your choices of how you were choosing one over the other across these 10 things, or it could be 3, it could be 20, it doesn't really matter, it just can take you a little longer.
Mhm.
um, it helps you get to that order of priority when it can be difficult if you're just trying to write them down in order.
Yeah.
And I found it, at least for me, really helpful to do it that way, because if I'm looking at two things, I can say, this one is more important.
Yeah.
And if you're only choosing between maybe 3, okay, you can just do that. But when you're choosing between 12 or something, what are the 12 things we could do? Getting that down to like, what are the top 4 and what order are they in?
Yeah.
I found that to be really helpful. And I'll dig that up and send you the link so you have it. But
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
that for people like me whose
Mhm.
brains sometimes are a little ADD style,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
was, it was like an epiphany. I was like, oh, I can just, all I have to do is this, and I get the answer in the
Yeah.
end.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yes, that prioritization is so important.
Oh, it so is. It's no doubt. Dude, what reason I wanted to bring you back on this show is because I love your mission. Your mission is to get company cam in the hands of every contractor on the planet. And I know you're well on your way for that. And, it's not just about the product or the software itself. I know you've got a much bigger vision. I'd love to, and a much bigger mission for that. I'd love to know
Hmm.
why that's so darn important to you and why you've, invested your most precious asset, your time and your life to making that come true.
Yeah, that's a good question. So when we started, we didn't have a mission. I mean, we had a mission implicitly, which is like, hey, can we make this work?
Mhm.
This seems important. We need it. And just kind of that challenge, the creative nature of it. That's my thing. I love that. And as we were, building Company Cam and we're seeing how it was working for people, we were adding stuff to it. We realized that really the core element of Company Cam, and really of, I would even say this is true, especially of every contracting business, is trust. You are looking to trust that the work is getting done the way you want it to. You're looking to trust that your business can operate when your eyes on it. You want your customer to be able to trust you, and you have to trust your business before your customer can trust you. And so we kind of realized through this, let's call it on the ground, the truth on the ground. When you're taking these photos, videos, now we got a cool new thing where you're talking to your phone and it like builds you this note document. But you are capturing the facts on the ground. That is the truth.
Mhm.
That is at a time and place, this is what is. And you have to have that foundational truth in order to be able to build that trust. And so we are trying to help capture that truth, have it be shared throughout your organization so that it's kind of automatically organized, it's not hidden away. And then when you have that, that can allow you to have this effective communication, and avoiding miscommunication. It can allow you to have real daily accountability, and it can help you trust your business, and thus your customers can grow in trust of you. And so that is kind of a big idea. And it isn't where we started, but it's kind of like you almost realize it by doing it. You talk to
Yeah.
people, you're working on it, and you're honing in. I'm like, okay, we know that we're kind of going in the right direction, even if we couldn't perfectly articulate what that core thing is. And over time, and I don't think we still haven't, as you heard by that explanation, we don't have it maybe perfectly distilled. I know at the bottom is that word trust,
Yeah.
but we almost in a sense backed into it. But whenever I go out, I just had a convo with our team that builds our website. They were asking, how can we get to know our customers better? How can we um how should we even go about that? And what I told them is, getting the best way bang for your buck is to get out to these kind of trade shows and these events. We'll go there. There will be already existing customers of Company Cam there that you can talk to. There'll be potential customers who don't know anything about us, don't care. There will be other businesses there. You can kind of see what the shape of that industry looks like, and but getting out and getting to know the people and getting to understand like almost understanding their problems at this deep level is what you need to be doing. And without going out and getting in it, you just can't do that. And that we're not going to be able to continue to go down this road of helping them solve these problems of trust, communication, accountability, unless we're there, because I've worked as a contractor, but I haven't for now 8 years.
Yeah.
Talk to a lot of contractors. I'm reasonably well connected, but when you're not feeling it every day,
Right.
it's easy to forget, and you have to work hard to remember, we're just to avoid too many stories here, but um talking about, I think it was like the book of Exodus. God's trying to convince the idea of remembering. You got to remember this thing, and you got to set up ways for yourself to remember. And I feel like I've gotten a long way distant here now from the trust element I was talking about, but like
Mhm.
this is important.
Yeah.
And the whole point of this trade show talk was it's reinforced to me how important it is every time I go out and I'm talking to the real people who are
Yep.
experiencing it
Yep.
every
Yep.
day. Cause for me, it's you can just slowly drift away from it.
Yep.
And gosh, we feel it, and we know from hearing our customers how much it actually matters to them. It's almost embarrassing to me because I was like, it didn't even matter to me this much when we started it. We didn't have
Yeah.
this big plan.
Yep.
But now, yeah, it feels a lot more important, taking it a lot more seriously because of how important it's become to people.
I love
And
that. I love it.
sorry,
And
last thing, I'm rambling here, but
no, no, no problem.
I
So,
tell our sales reps, hey,
yeah.
it is really easy to sell things that you believe in.
Yes.
And at first, when you start talking about this, you might feel kind of like am I just saying stuff that I don't really understand, believe, whatever. But I was like, after you get on the phones for a little while, you start talking to these people and you start hearing uh, them and what they're saying about it and how they're using it, you're going to come to really believe in this. And it's going to become very easy for you to sell it because you're not going to be selling in any sort of scammy way. You will see how much it matters to people and you'll believe it. And you'll want to help the next person that calls in. You'll be thinking, gosh, I can actually help you solve these problems.
Yep.
Um,
I
so
love
yeah,
that.
that's the very long answer to why we're out here doing this.
I love it, dude. So, if anybody's listening and doesn't know what Company Cam is or what it does, could you give us a really brief idea of what exactly does this thing do?
Yep. It started as, hey, we need to take pictures, and as you get more and more people, I think at the time, 2015, when we started working on Company Cam, we had, 30 to 50 people at our company,
Mm.
and call it maybe even it was only, let's say, 10 to 15 that were regularly taking pictures to kind of document what it looked like before, what's going on
Mhm.
right now, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And organizing that was a pain. And I had people like trying to put them in the wrong folder in the Dropbox, or they were handing me their little memory card out of their phone, and all the files are named the same. We couldn't make heads or tails of it. And so we built it really to say, oh, you go out, it uses your GPS so that it connects these photos to the right project. And then they all go to the cloud. They're all together. And we give you a feed so that you can just see what's going on, in real time as they're coming in. And at its core, that's what it still is. It's a way for you to capture this, mostly photos, but information on site, and have it instantly accessible across your company so that you can solve these communication accountability problems and build trust in your business and with your customer. We've added there's a ton of features around that, of kind of like commenting, mentioning people, drawing on photos, building photo reports, publishing photos to your website.
Mhm.
Our latest thing that I'm so excited about. So I'm building a house right now.
Mm.
And we just are rolling out this kind of it's an AI. We're using AI in a very cool way. But I dream before I ever started Company Cam of just, I'm at this job. I want to take a picture and just talk to my phone. I just want to take a picture, and I just want to say there's 7 vents on the east side. They're brown 505s, and we need to do this,
Mhm.
or hey, we need to mulch around these 6 trees on the west side of the property. Like, just that. I just want to just take a picture and do that and have it just that be done, saved, organized. And so we just built out that functionality. But what it does is it transcribes that audio perfectly. Like, the AI has gotten so good at
Mm.
transcribing audio so that rather than having an audio file you have to listen to,
Right. Right.
it saves the text perfectly. So you can take pictures, talk, it'll save the text right with the photos. But then it will use AI to create like an organized document of notes where it puts, like, you could talk about the west side of the property, or the stone or the fireplace or stuff in different times, and it will bundle all that together, and put the notes with the pictures in this like beautiful document. And it feels like magic.
Mm.
It's really cool. And so, we're basically on this path to say, how can we make it so simple, remove every excuse from capturing what's happening so that we have a record of it, so that we can see it. And then how can we make that as valuable as possible to your communication and accountability so that you can get the job done every day, so that you can trust your business and your customers can trust you.
I love that. No, it's great because I know with pictures over the years. I've been in this business now 27 years, and I remember in the early days when you had a little camera. I remember having a 1 megapixel little camera I'd carry around because phones didn't take pictures back
That's
then.
1,000 pixels.
I know. I was like, this is amazing. It's a 1 megapixel. This is amazing. So, or whatever. But anyway, the point is, it was extremely small, and I was so happy to run around, and I had a phone in one pocket and that in the other. And those things all ended up on an SD card, and then they got lost, or I didn't put them in the right hard drive, or they all had the same names to your point, or really close to it. You didn't have names of the client, all that. And then obviously cell phones came along, and now I just checked the other day, dude. My oldest, he looked at it and he's like, I just got a notice that said my phone is kind of almost out of storage. And I'm like, dude, we got 2 terabytes of storage. How is that possible? How many pictures and videos are you taking? So I looked in the family plan, and I looked, he had, I don't know, like maybe 30 gigs or something like that. My other had about 30 gigs. My wife probably had about maybe 50 gigs, 60 gigs. I had 1.4 terabytes of content. And I'm like, they're looking at me like, what do you do? And I'm like,
Yeah.
I just have a lot of pictures. I don't ever erase them, and videos and all that stuff. And my point is, it takes me forever to scroll back through to find that project. And how nice would it be to have a way that when you're on the project, take a picture, GPS location goes to a place, my entire team can go and just grab it, look at it, and not have to scroll through my right now 35,000 pictures to try to find the one that I'm looking for. If everything was in a nice little folder with its name on it, shit, that'd be nice.
Yep. That's funny. I got into all this AI, doing all this cool stuff. And to take my own medicine, just having your work photos separate from your personal photos,
Yeah.
not taking up space on your phone,
Yeah.
and immediately searchable by the address, by the customer name if you want to add that, by a time frame that you can remember, by
Yeah.
scrolling around a map and just click it. The, that simple separating your work life from your personal life
Yeah.
is one of the simplest values. And we even made an ad, like, because we do a lot of like, Facebook, Instagram
Mhm.
kind of ads, where it was, the joke was kind of like, it's a contractor scrolling through the camera roll looking for that photo of the job to show the customer, and it's like his kid's doing cartwheels, it's like a cat with a birthday hat on. It's just the idea that you just have this mess in there, and then you've got 46 photos of just dirt.
Yeah.
And what are those
Because there's
from?
a worm. It's a
Yeah,
weird looking worm in
exactly. Yeah,
there.
it's like it's
You're
up
going to show your
close. It's like, I don't
grandmother.
know
Yeah.
what project this is. But yeah, it's been, we definitely stumbled into this through this simply wanting to be organized, and that we felt disorganized. When you're not organized, you
Yeah.
feel it.
Oh, yeah.
You can't find things. You have this knowledge of what you're lacking.
Yeah.
What we didn't realize was how powerful it was to not have to go looking for things, even if you know where to find them. Go open that job folder, but to have everything given to you kind of like in a real-time feed, so that you can just be sitting at your house. And this is a regular occurrence. When I go out to my parents' house, my dad will be sitting there looking at his phone sometimes, and you kind of know by someone's age what app they're looking at. If they're like
Mhm.
22, they're looking at Snapchat or something, and if they're 40, they're on Facebook. Well, my dad is on company cam. He's sitting there and he's looking, did Adam get that stuff dropped off? Is Jose going to finish? He's kind of just like watching this stuff happen and kind of answering these questions that are popping in his head, at 5 p.m. or something,
Yeah.
by looking at that app. And that was, I don't want to say totally accidental, but we didn't know how powerful that would be until we started using it.
Yeah.
And I still have a hard time almost like explaining the power of it to people who don't use it, because you're really not even aware of kind of like the types of problems you can solve when you just have the information kind of open and flowing to you, rather than even knowing that you have it organized, but having to kind of affirmatively decide to go look at it.
Yeah.
And it's really, yeah, it's really cool.
What?
I
Yeah.
log into, they're roofing my house like today. That this is maybe the third day that they're on the job. So I've been opening it up and just kind of like watching the updates come in throughout the day. They make sure to take photos like when they get there, when they go to lunch, when they leave at the end of the day. So I get these, updates. I'll end up taking like 30 photos every day, and I'm just seeing, I'm like, oh cool, they got the east side done and that kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
It's pretty nifty.
Dude, I love that about the software is the fact that, because we run a lot of trusted partners right out on the job sites. At the end of the day, they'll send us texts with pictures from the site and all that. But, those things get lost deep into the text thread, and a month later, if we got to go back, you're scrolling for whatever, not even make sure you're even in the right thread, whatever. The point is, we get to see updates all the time from clients. But what I love about Company Cam is the fact that that stuff flows. They take the picture now, it pops up in the office. We could have a monitor or screen up and we could be seeing in live real time what's going on there and be able to monitor it in a way that we right now don't currently have the opportunity to do, which is really cool. And also, here's another thing is, there's times where a client will call back 2, 3, 4, 5 years later after a project is done, and they're like, hey, you know what, that paver patio you put in, I think it's directing water into my basement. We had a flooded basement, right? And you're like, oh crap, like that could be a problem. So then you're going back through my camera roll, looking for all those before shots or the during shots or something to say that, look, we didn't redirect. That was always that way. We didn't change or exacerbate this problem, but I need to find evidence for that now, right? So now I'm going back, looking, hoping like heck there's one there. Like with your technology, it would all be in their file, right? You just go into Mrs. Jones and all of her pictures are there, GPS located to there. And you're like, well, it's right there.
Yeah. And we always lay it out in a timeline. So you're looking at it and it kind of breaks down by day. And sometimes, on different projects, it will be, my family's roofing business, over almost 9 years ago, we've got back. So different jobs that we've been to multiple times, you can kind of see the different times you were there. And even one of the things that has been surprising to me is just remembering who was there.
Yeah.
because sometimes you see the photos and that tells you something, and you're like, gosh, do anyone remember talking to this person? And it's like, oh well, it was Jeff who took the photos. We should ask him, because
Yeah.
it shows the little, this is who took the photo, this is
Mm.
when they took it, and just knowing, okay, oh yeah, Jeff was over there, Jeff took these photos. And that idea of it being your shared kind of like memory, is another thing that I discovered in that regard. It's like seeing it is actually way better at remembering it than like pulling out a work order. And like, even the work order might tell you exactly what you did,
Yeah.
roughly
Yeah.
speaking,
Yeah.
but seeing the photos is like, oh, I totally remember that job. Whereas I don't know, sometimes they run together. And I come from roofing, and so it's pretty quick turn. You roof a house in a day, few days, depending on
Yeah.
what it is, and you roof a lot of them. And you just forget. You get people confused. You kind of can lose track of it, and that seeing it is such a good trigger for the rest of the memory of the thing. But
No
hey,
doubt.
this is
Yep.
I feel I don't want to make this entirely a sales pitch for Company Cam.
No,
I
no, no.
believe in it. Don't get me wrong. I love what we're doing. But I don't want to come on too strong.
No, I get that. I'm asking you good questions about this because I see such value in what you're doing for, the service industries, across the board, and giving them access to content that's organized and off their phones, and they can do it collaboratively as a team, and a lot of other cool things that you're working into the software to make it more helpful and more useful for people, right? And I know that you have over 100,000 people that are using this on a daily basis. So I mean, you guys are scaling quick, you're growing. So I'd love to kind of switch a little bit here and turn the page a bit and jump into how's it been to start out something and all of a sudden it just started taking off, and next thing you know you're like, holy crap, we got to scale now. We've got whatever 200 employees now and it's growing. Like, how are you personally growing faster than this
Oh
company
yeah.
to keep it on track? Because we all know
Well,
that if the leaders aren't growing faster than the company's going to crash.
that's sometimes you're ahead of it, and sometimes it's ahead of you, and it pulls you forward.
With it.
Or
Yeah.
you kind of, you got to let it. You got to. One of our core values here is grow up, and it's something of a, again, a lot of these are things I have to tell myself.
Yeah.
Like we all are on this process of growing, becoming like more mature, better versions of ourselves, capable of more. And a lot of what I see, from a lot of people is not that they're limited by their talent, by their, um, how smart they are or whatever, but they're often limited, like here, like
Yeah.
in what
No
they
doubt.
think that they're capable of. And that just that almost reminder that, hey, we're growing, we want this business to grow, and if it is going to grow, we need to grow. And so for me, you know gosh, there's been so many points where I realized I had to become better, I had to do things differently, I had to let go of things. A lot of it is letting go, like just handing something off. You can still care about it, but you just can't do everything, no matter how much you want to, no matter if you think you're better than the person doing it, because probably you aren't. Even if you are, you still need to
Yep.
help that person and then let go of it.
Yep.
And, I'm sure you know this just with your podcast here. From the outside, hey, we haven't talked in 2 years. Oh my gosh, it's so much bigger now, and it all feels really fast when you're not in it.
Yeah.
Almost like someone else's kids, you bump into them and it's like, whoa, I thought you were 5, and this kid's like 17 now.
Yep. Yep.
Um, but when you're in it, it doesn't, the changes are more gradual. And so it's never like I just woke up one day and it felt different. But when I look back, it's so different. I think we're at 240 people. Like you said, I think we're at 100 and, I don't know, on the order of 140,000 people using Company Cam.
Wow.
And it's definitely surprising to me, because
Yeah.
I was really had the goal to just have this be viable enough that me and the 2 other guys that were kind of there right at the beginning could make a living
Yeah.
without going dramatically into debt
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
this. But it's the power of something. If you bring value, then you can capture value. And I think that's one thing we've always gotten right, is that we haven't over focused on trying to hit some financial number or be too, I don't know. We've always focused on Are we solving this problem? Do people love to use this? Is it really helping them? And if we do that, hey, we will always want to be more clever with our sales and smart with our marketing and whatever. But that your product, like the quality of your, in our case, it's an app, the
Mhm.
quality of Company Cam, the software, but it can be the quality of a hardscaping job or the quality of, you name it, like the experience that you deliver and then how that works for people over time. That is the biggest multiplier in your business. And the only thing maybe bigger than that is the people, because the people are the ones that do that. So your
Yep, yep, yep.
employees, the people that work for you. But you have a great product, you have a great reputation. People loved working with you. Wow, that will make your marketing 10 times better automatically and more effective. That will make your salespeople automatically more effective. Um, but it is hard and it requires effort, and it's not always, it sometimes takes a while to see the payoff. Like it is a
Yeah.
long game to do it that way versus you'll always see a guy maybe cutting some corners, maybe not being totally above board. There's always a little bit faster path, maybe even just they're just smarter than you
Yep,
know,
yep,
like,
yep.
and I see that when we were starting out, there was other software. I mean, like I remember specifically Slack, the kind of chat app for businesses, was
Mhm.
starting out, and they were just like this rock, like everyone wanted to use it. It was this great thing.
Yeah.
And we are just grinding over here trying to figure out how to get the next company signed up and what we need to build. But that mentality, it works. I've seen it work in my dad's roofing business of just doing a great job, treating people right. I've seen it work in this
Yep.
business of software. And my hunch is that if it works in roofing and it works in software, that it's fairly universal that, hey, there, you could always be smarter, you could always do better marketing. There's ways that you can incrementally do better, but you are not going to lose or fail if you make a great product that people love. You just,
Yep.
that's a winning proposition.
100%. And the same even with the service world, right? It's just like the roofing and everything. It's so much of it is about the customer experience, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
there's this old adage that I heard from a pool guy once, and I'll never forget it. He goes, you know what? It was after a project was going to shit. Like everything was off. The schedule was way off. They were months behind. They weren't swimming. The clients were bitchy as hell because, and I don't blame them, because they were expecting to be able to swim in April, and we're talking it's almost August now, and this project still doesn't have water in it. And we're sitting here, we did all of our part. We're waiting for the pool guy to get their stuff together. And the pool guy goes, you know what? You know what I learned a long time ago, Joshua? I'm like, what's that? He goes, once they get wet, they forget. And this is what he ran his company on. He's like, you know what? My customer experience might suck. I might tell them things that doesn't matter. They get mad at me, but once they get wet, all of it disappears. It's not a big deal. And I'm like, that is one fucked up way to run a company. You know what I mean? But this is the old adage, right? This is not just him. There's more than one that have that same kind of mentality. And I think in today's day and age, it just doesn't fly. People are used to being catered to. They want an experience. They want something that is so difficult, when to do themselves. I say building an outdoor living
Mm-hmm.
space themselves, finding all the contractors or learning how to build it themselves, and the permits and the blah, 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 all the way down through. It's complex. And we're trying to create certainty around something that is anything but certain.
Mm-hmm.
We're selling certainty at the end of the day, right? So when we're talking about customer experience, and to your point, users, right? Customer experience, that has to be top of the line. Your customer experience is everything. It's what they're going to be telling their friends about. It's not just a cool backyard. If you sucked as a person to work with, you didn't answer your phone, you never called back, you were never on time, I don't care if you do the very best work, they're going to not be telling their family members and friends about how awesome you are. They're going to be like, that guy
Mm-hmm.
sucks, but he does good work, but he sucks. And the other people
Yeah.
aren't going to move forward, because we already know that when it comes to having referrals, they're already warm leads ready to say yes to you, right? They already like you for some reason, right? They either seen a project or they've heard something great. But if you suck in your customer experience and then you expect to get referrals out of that, you're not going to get them. And if you're wondering why you're not, stop for a second and say, would you buy from you?
It's the seen versus the unseen. Like in economics they talk about this, like there's some things, consequences that you just see right away, and then there's some things that are kind of second order to that. And you see the pool, you might say, oh, that looks great, and if you in the end are delivering pools that don't leak and they're good, then you're probably not going to go totally out of business, but what you could be doing, the amount of growth you could be having, you'll never experience if you're not delivering that customer experience.
Yeah.
And I tell our team here, like, running a contracting business is really hard. You've got people working at different locations. You're trying to keep track of that every day. You've got suppliers, distributors. You're trying to coordinate. You've got actual materials. It's not like writing code and hitting enter.
Yep.
Like, you've got to coordinate all of this stuff fitting together. Then you have a different customer on every job, and they're like, you have to manage them. You have to manage the people in relation to them. It is not easy. It is very hard to grow that operation. And I remember specifically just the idea that we could do twice as much was almost, I just almost couldn't imagine how we could do it. It seemed like everything would just like grind to a halt if we tried to do that, because of just imagining the problems you have every day and then double them.
Yeah.
And and it's not that company cam is the only solution there. It really does help you keep things in front of you, where it's just like, okay, at least I see the things. I may not have a solution to every problem that pops up, but I at least know that I have a problem and I'm watching it all happen. But that expanding and growing and delivering that customer service, like, it is hard. It's just hard. It's going to be a lot of work. There's no two ways about it. It's going to require, I don't know. Sometimes you're eating it on one, it just doesn't go right. It's not even half the time. It's not your fault, but are you playing the short game or are you playing the long game? And I learned mostly just from watching how my dad ran our family business. Like, he was definitely not the cleverest at like marketing, sales, business, and he's perfectly sharp guy, but what he did was he was always playing the long game. He just had this mentality of investment, this mentality that if you did things right and you were willing to kind of invest in the future rather than taking it all right now, that would work. And I saw it work over time. I saw it work with people. I saw it work with our customers. I saw it work. And that business has just grown pretty steadily over, 30 years.
Yeah.
And it's a great business. And it was overwhelmingly that consistency and that decision that you were going to do things right and that you were going to play that long game. It works, and it usually works faster than you think it will, but it isn't a get rich tomorrow scheme.
Yeah, especially in a world where you're seeing, I mean, I just was scrolling the other day, like on Facebook, and it says, look, this 9-year-old is worth like $20 million. And I'm like, what could you do at 9 years old that is worth $20 million unless you're pissing gold or something? Like, what's going on? Like, but the interesting part about that world is the fact that, within social media, there's a lot of money to be made because it's all about keeping eyeballs, right? That's what Facebook and YouTube and all that wants, is what content out there keeps people addicted, right? And the more addicted the content, the more they'll pay for it, which is crazy, but it's true, right? So that's why it works. That's ad space. That's what they need. You need people to be addicted to these things. So, that's a whole different story for a different podcast, but I want to shift back here. So what are the 3 top things you've learned along your journey, scaling company cam and from your father's roofing business that you've translated in? Like, what are 3 things that stand out that you've learned more recently that you didn't think you'd ever realize or know, or just kind of hit you sideways?
Gosh. Number 1 would be, it's the people. It is like the people that you get on your team that, like, you as the owner, founder, let's say the kind of ultimately responsible person, your biggest leverage is in finding other great, smart, competent, good attitude people to work in that same direction, such that, that might be one other person. Maybe it doubles. Maybe that even, triples your capacity or something.
Yeah.
It might be 1,000, over time. But there's no such thing as companies. Companies are just people, collections of people that have decided to work together to try to accomplish something. And I was very focused on the product, and I still am, because I love building things. I think anyone listening to this can relate. You probably started in the work quite often.
Oh, yeah.
And building things is fun. Now, I don't know, you're carrying a 150 pound, granite, not granite, but like, let's say a giant stone to set. Sometimes it's not as fun, but that doing the great work, that's important. But in order to grow a business, you just have to focus on the people and the business. And for me, that I had to shift from like, we're making an app to we're building a company of great people. So
Yeah.
that's number one. Number two, I think I saw it a lot more once I was responsible for it myself, which is that like playing the long game. And that might mean different things to different people. To me, it's like how you treat people, how you treat your customers, um, what decisions you make. Are you trying to just get $1 this month, or are you trying to get $1 a month for 30 years? That, but just that mindset of like, am I operating out of the kind of immediate fear of failure of I got to get it right now, or am I operating out of this investing mindset? It's maybe just another way I would frame it, but I
Mhm.
think of playing the long game and having that investing in the future mindset, for me, has been crucial. And number three, I'm gonna say the word that just keeps coming to my mind is attitude. When I first started hiring software developers, coders, I was asking questions like, how many apps have you built? What have you done here? Things like this, all around experience. And I learned pretty quickly, especially after one guy we hired, Dr. Dan, who's just he's awesome. He's so smart. He does such good work. He had never coded an app before. He was working as a math professor.
Mm.
And but he was super sharp. He had a great attitude. And I just realized like there's a lot of skills that you can train,
Yep.
but like a person's values, their attitude, their just kind of like their own personal direction, that's so much harder to change than whether they can write JavaScript or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
For
can
sure.
learn to write JavaScript. And
Hmm.
so I've really tried to like, from our team, from everywhere, to when I'm hiring and growing the business, to remember like it's way easier to train skills than it is to sort of change people's values or change their behavior. Like, find those people that you'd be excited to work with, and if they don't have like a skill or a specific ability you want, teach it
Yeah.
to them. You
Yeah.
got to
Yeah.
get good at teaching, because if you can teach people to do things, that'll take you a long way. Sorry, I'm probably throwing in more than three.
That's okay. No, it's
um,
great. It's good stuff,
but
dude. And what
that's
reminds me,
among the things I've learned along
yeah,
the way, and the lessons that I'm still learning, let's say.
I love it. I know Patrick Lencioni, he has this concept around, when you're hiring or bringing people into your team, he talks about looking for people that are humble, hungry, and smart. Everything else
Mm-hmm.
is teachable, right? But those three things are basic fundamentals. And if you can find people with those three characteristics, that they're humble, they're hungry to learn, they're humble human beings, they want to be part of a team, and they're smart, everything else is teachable. And that's
Mm-hmm.
really the baseline. I
That's
think it's exactly what you're talking about here, right? Like they might not know how to do JavaScript, but you know what? They have all those other pieces. They have all those other foundational pieces. So let's just teach them how to do it. But if they're dicks, if
absolutely.
they're not hungry because they've got plenty of money, they don't care, and they're dumb as a rock. I don't care what you do with those people. You can't push a wet noodle, right? Just it's not going to work.
No, you're absolutely right. And several of our managers have talked about that book,
Yeah,
that Humble, Hungry, and Smart. And when I first heard those three, I was like, yes,
exactly.
you say no more. Absolutely, that is spot on.
Yeah, yeah, I love it, dude. I could rap with you for hours on this, and I appreciate you coming on. So, Luke, how can people find you? How can they reach out? What do you got for them that they can possibly even test out your software, see if it's good for them?
Absolutely. So you can find Company Cam. We're just at Company Cam on the internet, companycam.com, at Company Cam. Our social media team is absolutely killing it right now. I'm so happy with what they're doing. We just pushed a video out yesterday of the kind of like, you know, you're dating a contractor and they're pointing at things. Hey, I did that job over there. Hey, see, like that, which everyone can relate. Like
Oh yeah, oh
everyone's
yeah.
wife
Ask
is
my
like,
kids.
okay, yeah, we know, we know that you did that job and that you did put that together. Um, and then we put valuable stuff out there too. But so you can find us at Company Cam. We made a deal. So if you're listening to this podcast and you're thinking like, hey, I wouldn't mind trying that, we always have a 2-week free trial where, hey, you just try it, you get all the functionality, you're not going to lose anything, you test it out. Hopefully you like it and you'll stick around. And then if you do, we got 25% off your first 2 months if you go to companycam.com/outer spaces. So all one word, companycam.com/outer spaces. If you just create an account through that page, we'll know that you came from here. We'll know to give you the discount. And again, no pressure, but it might help. And if it doesn't, no hard feelings. You can just move along. But I would love for people to try it. So yeah, you can find us around the internet. But otherwise, Joshua, thank you again, man. I really enjoyed both these conversations. I'm looking forward to another one day. Maybe after we get this AI stuff live, we could blow your brain in half with how cool it is.
Dude, I'd be totally open for that. I'd love to share that with the world, and let's plan on that. Right after the show here, we'll figure out what time frame might look like, and then I'll make sure we reach out at that time. But Luke, thank you for coming on and sharing your precious time with us and telling us about what you're working on over there at Company Cam. And guys out there listening, if you struggle with trying to keep your pictures in one area, trying to have a communication center for your company that's live and also easy to go back and find things, like I mentioned earlier, trying to find those pictures of that one project where the client's calling and bitching, saying that you messed something up and you didn't, but you can't find the picture to show it. That would all be in one box, and you don't have to put it on your phone and end up like me with 1.4 terabytes of stuff that I don't need to have on my phone. And now I've got to upgrade my plan from 2 terabytes to more, or I got to go back and spend the time to get rid of all those pictures. And then I have to go look through all of them and figure out what dates they were and all that stuff. And in Company Cam, you just put in the name of the client, and there they are. So Luke, I appreciate what you're doing for all service businesses. And as always, I always appreciate talking to you and listening to what you're up to and how you're growing, brother. So appreciate you coming on, and we'll listen to everybody. We're not listening to everybody. I'm getting a little crazy. Third podcast for the day. We'll talk to everybody next week.